everybody, and welcome to Black and White Tales print number 3. A photograph, a real photograph, can be like a mirror. And let me explain. First of all, what is a real photograph for me? A real photograph is an image that we print and we keep around on a wall, in an album, in a drawer. It's not important where, but it's something that stayed there for a lot of time, and sometimes we look at it again and again. And I do not consider real images the photographs that we see for few tenths of a second on a smartphone display. You're looking at social media and then trash away without thinking of them anymore. So when we have a real image and we go back to it in time and see it again, we can perceive different things. You can have different emotions, notice different details on the image. And all these things that we notice reflects the change that we had, the experiences we had, our personal growth as a human being. There's an image in particular for me that has this mirror effect at the extreme. Every time I look at the image from the day I took it to the day I decided to print it for this project, I see that everything changed quite drastically in what I perceive and what I feel. And it's an image that I made in the 90s. I was a teenager at the time, and my father sold my grandparents' house. My grandparents passed away when I was around 2 or 3 years old, my paternal grandparents, and I never really met them. I mean, I met them, but I have no direct memory. So, in the early 90s, we took a van and went to their town and had to empty the house and collect the things that we wanted back with us to bring with us at home, or leave it there and decide what to leave it there for the new owner. When we went there, I decided to grab my Hasselblad super wide, beautiful camera that I loved, and to take pictures to document the house, to document the place. For me, it was not really emotional at the time because, as I said, I didn't knew my grandparents very well, so I just went there with the idea to document it and create something that was mostly a memory for my father. But I took the pictures, and one of them really I like it. And this is my grandfather laboratory. He was a mason, a builder, an electrician, and mostly an electrician in the last years of his career. And this was the lab at the ground floor of the house where he worked most of his life. When I decided to take this picture, I decided this specific point of view because I wanted to show this big machine, this big cylinder up there. That was something that I knew about my grandfather because my father told me, and we saw that equipment many times. And that was one of his inventions. He was used to do luminaries for festivals, for the town festival, church lights and these kind of things. So he wanted to do something different. We are talking about just pre-World War II and after World War II. At the time, it was not really possible to make movements with the lights. Right now you can buy a cheap that costs probably 50 cents and connect it to a lamp chain and have all the movements you want. When you buy something for your Christmas tree, you have at least 20 different programs to make the lights jump on and off exactly how you want. At the time that was not possible. So my grandfather came out with this big cylinder created on a couple of bicycle wheels. It was a conducting material cylinder, and over it there was a comb of contacts. Between them some paper with holes. Obviously with the cylinder turning around, when the contacts met a hole in the paper, they switched the light on and switched it off when there was paper again in the middle. That was something that permitted him to switch on and off every single lamp exactly as he wanted, and so to create the effect like the bright is composed and this kind of things. So that was my idea, because there was something important I had in mind. I loved the light in the place. When I was a kid, and we went there on vacation, I played there a little, so I took the picture just for that reason. But as I said, as we change, everything changed. And when we came home, we brought with us a lot of stuffs that were from my grandparents. So, and between them there was, for example, a box of postcards. Around 200 postcards were sent from my grandfather to my grandmother and vice versa during World War I. So postcards that went to the front and came back with my father, with my grandfather. That was kind of an impressive story, a nice love story. At the time they were just fiancés. And it's something that made me explore the part of my grandfather's life during World War I. I got books trying to, and I kind of managed to find from the stamps on the postcards and the regiments and everything else where he was. And another thing, that he was in the Bersaglieri Corps, an highly specialized corps, and he was doing the communication. Communication at the time was not radio wave, but cable communication. So he had to pull the cable around in the war front zone and connect the cable and check that everything was working correctly. And in that experience, he learned a lot of the things that he used in his life as electrician. He also had a couple of scary experiences. One, he was wounded in an eye, and luckily he saved his eye, and the other one, he got a medal for that. He was in a hole created by a bomb, and he remained there alone with a rifle, and basically he kept the enemy far away for, I think it was 48 hours, something like that, alone in this hole. So all these things made me know him a little better. And when I watched the game after that, at this image, I started to see not only his labs with no meaning, but it was all the experience that he brought back with him from the war, and how he got something positive from there as an experience as an electrician. And I also started to see this place as something that was probably his safe place, because it was a place where he was able to build up his skills, and also it was the lab that he used to create a lot of things that he needed to survive during the Second World War. At the time it was difficult to find the most simple things as the bread or some alcohol or sugar, and he was able to build a distillery in the basement, an oven for the bread, and cultivate tobacco, produce sugar and all these kind of things. So that room, that was just a room that I photographed, it became something that had all this meaning connected, and it was something that made me connect with my grandfather and understand a lot of his experience, also emotional. Another time, and I just give you a couple of examples, and I already will be very long, so another thing that changed is based on another story. What we found in a drawer in the laboratory, we found the membership of the Fascist Party, and my father told the story as he knew it. And at the time it was mandatory to be a member of the Fascist Party. There was no way to work without being a member of it. My grandfather resisted for a few months, just was, no, I don't want to. But one day the mayor of the town arrived and told him, please don't be an ass. We want to work with you because you are the best in town, we always work with you, and you cannot work without this. So take this membership card, I put it there in the drawer, back there, you can forget it, and all is okay. We are always the same people as we were before, and we will work in the same way. Nothing changed. It's just a piece of paper. And that was what happened. The membership, the fascist membership card was forgot in the drawer, and in the 90s we found it exactly where it was left by the mayor of the city. And that's another thing that when I grew up and I started to be more involved with also political things, that made me understand the choices he had to do to be able to not be involved in all the fascism and all these kind of things. So he was able to just forget the membership card there and work his life and continue to be the great man that he was. And when I see this picture after that, when I saw this picture after that, I started to see as the more important detail these drawers. And this exact drawer was the one where we found the fascist membership card. And I see this and I see a story of freedom, a way to keep free, a way to survive to a dictatorship, a way to survive to a war going around you. And all that is bringing different emotion in me from the emotion that I saw, that I had before. But the last big change, and there were a lot of changes, every time I watched that there were some changes, but the last one is when I looked at this picture in my archive and I decided to print it for these black and white tales. And right now I'm doing exactly the same thing that my father did at the time, because I'm going through my parents' things in their house, and I'm deciding what to keep, what to trash, and what to bring with me. And all this is giving me a deep understanding of what my father went through when we were there deciding. And I look at the things in the picture. I look at every single object. A cable, a simple cable, extension cord, or a simple lamp for him were a memory. And this is exactly what I'm going through now. I look at every single object, and for me, it's a memory. It's something that, and I have to decide what to do with it. And it's not easy. It's really kind of a painful process. It's an emotional roller coaster. And I understand something new. And I see the image right now, and I see memories. I don't see objects. I see memories. I see stories. I see what remained of a person and what can be kept and what can be told again to keep the memory alive. So that's all. And thank you very much for watching. If you like the video, please let me know. Put a like down here on YouTube. Subscribe to my blog on my webpage, or like me on Facebook. And as usual, you can see the original image in the link down in the description area in YouTube. Thank you very much for watching. Keep creative, stay free, and have a lot of fun.